Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is December 29th, and just in case you're wondering why I am in a car, I am just south of Hilo, Hawaii on vacation till January 2nd. Feeling a little bit better today, still a little bit under the weather here, but let's just go ahead and dive right into our forecast. You can see the storm system off the coast of Oregon here. It's set up to bring some of the stronger winds. The east component across the Cascades of Washington, Oregon. The Stampede Gap winds are blowing across the Columbia Gorge, the Washington, Oregon border as well. It is spreading some precipitation up across the area, but probably going to target a little bit better across western BC and some Vancouver Island, maybe some of the Olympic Mountains here. We'll look at those details here coming up. And then we'll take a look at the extended forecast. You might have been hearing a little bit of chatter here about a pattern change upcoming and some colder air trying to make its way down into the lower 48. We'll look at those. We'll look at that potential here in a moment as well. And dangerous beach conditions again on the coastline in the Pacific Ocean during the winter time. It's just always a good thing never to turn your back on the ocean out there. And again, some enhanced waves are going to be out there, so heads up for that. Then dense fog advisory. I didn't see too much on the satellite imagery this morning, but you guys know what to do. Use your low beams out there if you do run into some of that dense fog. And here's that wave action. So this is yesterday afternoon. So scroll ahead a bit here in about morning time here, and you can see we're in a little bit of a lull here, relatively speaking, but the wave shouldn't be dropping off too much more here, maybe even a little bit of an increase here as we go through this afternoon and tonight. Then we start to get a break here as we go on into Sunday. As you can see, some lesser wave heights off the coastline there, but that is probably not going to last as we go into the future. And you can kind of see that uptick in the wave action again as we go through the midweek period here upcoming here, kind of targeting California as what some of the storms will be doing here over the next week. But we do have some hope through the extended forecast. Now, taking a look again, there's our low pressure center off the coast there. And you can kind of see that easterly component going across the Cascades of Washington, Oregon. This is last night's European run, 100-meter wind speed. Put it in motion. You can see as we go through this morning, some strong winds through the gorge here, Stampede Gap, easterly component flowing all the way out across the ocean, meeting up with the storm system out there. And put that into motion again, and you can see, so probably early afternoon, the strongest winds coming through the gorge right there. Pretty darn right gusty, probably up over 60, 70, maybe even locally 80 miles per hour in there. And then you can see that gradually declining as we go through tonight into tomorrow morning as that storm system pushes off to the north. And you can see the next system dropping down off the coast of California there. Now, taking a look a little bit closer, I want to show you the M3KM. This is a little bit more recent run, the 12Z, and you can see as we go through the morning hours, we finally start to wane those wind speeds across the Cascades a bit here, kind of a slow downward trend as we go through tonight and into tomorrow morning as that storm system moves off to the north. Now, taking a look at the NAM3KM again here with precipitation amounts, this 6-hour precipitation amounts, and you see the best amounts down there into California. It is trying to spread some precip up across some of the Willamette Valley, the Cascades at times, the Olympic Mountains in western BC targeted a little bit better versus western Washington. I mean, it's not showing too much precip even at all for Seattle. The storm is just not progressive and not bringing big precipitation amounts inland with it. Now, I want to show you this here because we're going to look up into the future a little bit more here, and we'll start to talk about that potential pattern change upcoming. So put that into motion, and you can see how that frontal system is moving through California there. Continue off into the future here, again, with that next storm probably targeting mostly California there as well. And then we get one more storm with that trough kind of dropping down over the area. And this one is about 200 hours out as we're looking right about there. So that one could have some impacts here, and it would definitely bring some chillier air into the region, but kind of still targeting California and some of the Southwest a little bit better there. But if you look off across the Gulf of Alaska as we go towards the end of the run, you can see that jet stream really get going up here. That's kind of what we're looking at here, the potential for some colder air and some troughing to drop down across the region here. Will it impact the Pacific Northwest? Will it slide off to the east? These are good questions and things we're going to try to be answering here over the next few days. Now, this is looking at the same map here, but we're looking out across the Gulf of Alaska a little bit more, and we're going to scroll towards the end of the run here, and you can see that jet stream forming there and kind of carving out on the west coast of North America. That could be bringing some interesting weather, some better mountain snows here across Pacific Northwest, things of that nature. Now, looking at the European also on the 500 millibar heights, this is 18,000 feet. So you can see the storms mainly impacting California the next few rounds as we go on in through next week and possibly even towards next weekend. But you can see that cooler trough dropping down across this next weekend. Not great dynamics here for the Pacific Northwest. Again, to be more of a Southwest deal here. But as we go into the extended, the European's been showing some interesting systems kind of dropping down across Pacific Northwest there. Much chillier air, better mountain snows, maybe even some snow for the lower elevations as well, if things line up just right. But still, it's a fantasy forecast right now. But we're kind of in desperation mode, searching off into the extended forecast for signs of life. Now, taking a look at the European, so let's scroll out and see what kind of snows that would bring if it did verify. We're now looking at about 260 hours out, and you can see pretty good shots of snowfall to some of the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, western BC, heck, the Rocky Mountains, Sierra Nevada here as well. So pretty good signal there for the troughing, but hopefully it sets up correctly to get us. There's still a lot of uncertainty on how that's going to unfold. Now, looking at the GFS, this is actually a more recent run, the 12Z, and this is the 16-day precipitation anomaly. It's not showing us too much because you can see the big dramatic differences between some of the areas, the Cascades versus some of the lower elevations versus western BC, a big deficit showing up here. And this has been flipping and flopping back and forth in the model run. So we definitely have a lot to work out here over the next few days on what is coming in the future. Here's the 8 to 14-day temperature probability outlook, just showing you that the Climate Prediction Center is picking up on some of this cooler air dropping down across the west as we go on in through January 11th. And this is the 6 to 10-day precipitation probability outlook as we go through January 7th here. And you will take this with a grain of salt. Let's just put it that way, because this is by no means a slam dunk. We could easily end up below average precipitation during this time frame. And there's the 8 to 14 day continues to show much of the lower 48 above average. Now, this is looking at percent of average precipitation for the month of December. You can see that western Washington, a lot of it is above average. Some of the Cascades of Oregon, Portland there. But there is some areas that are below average across some of Oregon, some of Idaho, Montana, pretty extensively below average, actually. And some of the east slopes of the Cascades, a little bit below average here as well. But for the most part, December did pretty well across some of the Cascades here also. And temperature, average departure from average. Look at this. The entire west, virtually every single area here has been above average during the month of December. Some areas 4 to 8 degrees above so. And actually, some places, the Cascades looks like it was between 8 and 12 right there. Look at Montana, extremely warm. Classic El Nino signature here already showing up in December. But anyway, yeah, interesting stuff here, folks. So we're going to just continue to watch, just see if we have signs of life here through the extended forecast. Hopefully we can get there. I don't know what else to say about it here. We'll continue to watch that day by day. Hope you guys are doing well. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.